Good afternoon, students. Welcome back to an interesting class of note making part 2. We're doing a business correspondence and reporting paper 2, section B. A warm welcome extended to all of you who have joined and also those of you who are still to join. Nice to have a lot of students back. Bhumika, good afternoon. Anand, Ishan, Dakshita, Bhargavi, Rohan, Madiha, Zeba, Pooja. I'm great. Zeba, how are you doing? So we have a good number of students in class. So without wasting much time, let's start with the second part of note making. I hope everything is clear from the last section. If you still have doubts, if there are concerns, if you think you attempted a question and you were not sure about how to write a summary, etc., please feel free to ask me. It's an easy exam. You just have to work hard and you have to be very sure with your concepts. Business correspondence and reporting is a subject which is more about being smart. Even if you practice 5 passages every day, you should have a strong vocabulary. That's when it's going to help you. Whether it is note making, whether it is reading comprehension, whether it is article writing, whether it is report writing, your command over the language is what you have to work on. And for that very reason, we keep saying it's not a paper which you can just clear in a day. It takes a lot of time to, get to that level, to improve your subject, to improve your language. So please, guys, just pay attention. Classes are important. Study material is very important. You all have to stick to the study material. The content in the study material plus the PPT, that is a very good, stuff for clearing the exam with good marks. So if you really are interested in extra studies, then you can read newspapers, you can read magazines, you can read any fiction book, any non-fiction book. But please remember, the content, the study material, you have to do it. You cannot afford to leave that. A lot of practice questions are there. Besides, on the website, we've also posted a lot of RTPs and MTPs. That is like a must. If you complete the syllabus, if you complete all this extra material, then no topic is going to be difficult. Okay? Well, on that note, let's start. Thank you so much, all of you. Such a nice afternoon today. Good afternoon, Sagar, Pratidnya. How do I call out your name? I'm really confused. Pratidnya. Pratidnya. Okay. Pooja, good afternoon. Khushdeep, Abhimanyu, Sarman Bhai, and Diksha, Dhwani, Vishnu, Jia, Kriti, Avdesh. Nice to have you back in class. I remember all of you from our last class. So good to see a nice familiar class. Okay, so let's start finally with what exactly is note making. I'll share my PPT. So we're going to do a quick recap about what all we did in the last class. That is a must because, when we leave a particular topic at a point, it's very important to start from that point. What happens is I read something, I read like 10 pages in my chapter. Okay. And then I just forgot. So when I'm coming back to it, I have to read at least the last 2 pages to get that continuity, that flow of ideas, that flow of thoughts, that flow of concepts. For that reason, I should always start from 2 pages back and then maybe move forward step by step, page by page. Fine? Okay. So just give me a moment. I'll just start my PPT and then you guys can carry forward. Okay. So this is the summary of the last class. Every point is being very specific. I have actually made notes for note making. So this is like a note because I've put it in simple linear list. Remember the linear list we did? So I've done it in a simple, straightforward linear bullet list where I've given you what exactly is note making, why is it important, how can it be done, and how can it actually help anybody. So keeping all those points in mind, which we discussed in the last class, I have given this list of 6 points. You may all please go through it. For any doubts, you may please ask me right now. Otherwise, the agenda for today is I'll take it forward. We're going to discuss abbreviations, acronyms, and we're going to discuss how to write a summary for the note making. And last of all, we're going to do some practice passages. Okay? Okay, Gareja, I'll call you that. Uh, Kriti, is the camera still flickering? I think I was just making a small adjustment, so probably that's the reason. Now I think it's okay. Yes, Vanshika, a sub point can have a sub point, that is possible. You may have as many number of sub points, but for the kind of passages you will be getting in the exam, not more than two sub points will be required. We don't give you that elaborate a passage that you have to make like sub points, because then it becomes a very, a very branched version of one particular topic. So generally we don't do that. But in case you feel the need sometime later, you may go ahead. Okay, thanks, Kriti. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Shivangi. Okay, the others, Masoom, I think, was not there last class. Masoom and Shalini, Gunjan, can you please tell me anything from the last class if you have seen the video? The PPTs have, the first PPT I have uploaded, and I'm going to upload this also soon after the class ends. And the recorded lectures are anyways available. So for any doubt, please revisit the site and go through the whole lecture. In case you have a crunch of time, you can also go through only those parts of the lecture which you think were important. Okay, try to be very strategic when you're preparing for an exam. Time is a very big factor. Whenever you are doing a question, for note making especially, you cannot sit and spend 10 minutes on writing notes, because the most important part comes later, which is the summary. So I'm repeatedly telling you, whenever you're doing an exercise like note making, please make sure you clock yourself, you put a timer, you check how much time are you taking for reading the passage. After reading the passage, how much time are you taking for making the notes? After making the notes, how much time are you taking for writing the summary? Because when you make the notes, you always use abbreviations and acronyms. Then you have to give a key also. So all that is quite time consuming, and in the exam, time is always a problem. No matter how much time is given, every student has this complaint, time kam tha. So because of that, I'm saying, start working with time as a factor. Don't just sit and relax and do anything and everything in whatever time. Fine. Jyoti, I haven't missed any. You haven't missed anything. We're just doing a recap of the last class, so don't worry. Okay, Saima, I'll explain linear and non-linear. Good afternoon, Surya and Keshav. Yes, Vishnu, you will be able to understand the session. Don't worry. You just have to. It'll be good and advisable if you see the presentation for the last class, the lecture for the last class, or the video. That's going to give you a good help. Okay. Good afternoon, Tejashri. Isha, is it good morning or good afternoon? Okay, Bhumika. So today that's the agenda. How to choose a particular heading and a subheading. Okay, we're going to discuss that today. And of course, whatever is there in note making, whatever is left in the chapter, we're going to finish it all. Okay. So now linear note making is nothing but, whenever you say linear, it simply means line. Okay. Non-linear means no line. So whenever notes are made, and I'm asking you to make linear notes, you basically have to make bullet points like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After that, each point may have a subheading or a subheading. That is possible. Okay. But everything is like a list. Sometimes when we make notes, we also put commas. Here for your CA exam, you don't have to put the comma list. You have to make a drop down list. So you will have serial numbers. For every serial number, you can have an A, B, C section. For every A section, you can have a Roman numeral small 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can keep dividing each point into as many sub branches as possible. But generally, from the exam point of view, you will not get a passage which will be so deep that you have to make like sub branches. Okay, that's what I'm telling you from my personal experience. So don't worry about that. So linear list, as Saima has asking, it's just a list which goes on in a serial order, and very importantly, it has bullets, it has points, it has serial numbers. Okay, now comes the non-linear list. Non-linear list, like Lakshata, you said, it's a flow chart. Okay, It can be a flowchart with various, a diamond, a square, a circle. It can be a mind map. You have to extend horizontally. It can be a tree with all the branches having the different aspects. It can also be a pie chart or a graph. But right now, you only have to concentrate on the linear list. You don't have to worry about the non-linear list. Mostly, that is what is expected out of a student. You should be knowing both, but in offices, the work is mostly done with the linear style. Fine. Abhinav, linear means line mein likhna and non-linear means map banana, graph banana, tree banana. ठीक है? I think everybody is okay. You can hear me, so there is no issue with the slides. There is no issue with my sound, and there is no issue with my screen. Okay, can I move ahead? Kriti, there is no fixed format exactly, but for linear, we just suggest that have a heading, have a subheading, write the summary, write the key. That's the only format you have to follow. So you just have to stick to the study material. The study material is like the best material you can practice with. It has a lot of questions also, and of course the exam pattern questions which are there on the website. Okay, any doubts till now? Chanda, you want to ask something? Kushti, what exactly do you mean by theoretical? You might get a 2-mark question on what is a non-linear list, what is a note-making process, what is a linear list and note-making. That much you have to study. So if that is what you refer to as theoretical question, yes, you definitely have to study. Okay, Gareja says okay, Zeba says fine, Ravish, Sagar. No, Keshav, in exams, you have to make only one list. Most of all, it's going to be the linear list. Okay. We just tell you a lot of content because not necessarily you have to prepare only for this exam. When you go to an office, when you have your own practice, when you get into a big firm, then what happens? You should be aware of the non-linear list also. So for that matter, it's just taught to you very well. Later, it depends which one are you using. But right now, from the exam point of view, it's very important that you stick to the linear list. Okay? Okay, Barkatullah, Sagar, and Chanda, all okay? Fine. So this slide is what we exactly did last class. This is a simple recap. Those of you who were not there can have a quick look. Otherwise, like I said earlier, the PPT will be uploaded. Okay, now next comes the very important aspect of using abbreviations. Now, you all know what are abbreviations. They are basically short forms of words, and they are used for a quicker writing. That's the most important point which you have to remember. We need to write fast, and sometimes the names are long, even if it is ONGC, NTPC, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, these very long public sector company names, for example. So to save our time and energy, obviously, what we do is we start using abbreviations. And something which I really want to tell you is abbreviations can be formal, abbreviations can be informal, abbreviations can be very slang based. Fine. So we have to be very particular. What are we using and where are we using? Okay. So let's move on. When we make notes for ourselves, for example, I have to prepare for a paper and I have to prepare notes for that. So I'm doing some chapter in, let's say, accounts. How do I study? I'm going to make notes in my copy. Now, when I'm making notes in my copy, I need to be very fast. To be fast, I need to have my own short forms, which not anybody knows. My friend cannot understand, my teacher cannot understand, my parents cannot understand. So what do? I start making my own small abbreviations, my own shortened version. But the problem is, as long as you are sticking to your notes, it's okay. But the moment it is a report or a formal submission or something which you have to give to your teachers, or you have to submit it in an organization or an NGO, or it's an audit report, for that matter, you have to stick to only standard abbreviations and short forms, which are very, very less, which are listed. Okay. So you have to be very careful. Only for personal use, you can use your own abbreviations. But when it comes to formal reports, you have to stick to whatever has been accepted globally, internationally, on the official realm. Okay? Asha, this is like, you can check it on YouTube. It's there directly. Okay? Fine. So this is a list of some standard abbreviations which I have given you. You can just go through them for a minute so that you know that this is only the very important ones. There are lots of abbreviations, so don't worry. Because of space crunch, I cannot give you all abbreviations, but I just want to make you aware that these kinds are known as the formal ones. You may try something, you may try something if you want to. Rabish, I did not understand. You saying doctor or debit in May? I write example as doctor as debit. What does that mean? You wrote doctor as debit. I didn't get you. Please, Rabish, can you explain? The others can give me some good examples of standard abbreviations which you think are universally accepted. Please, can you try that exercise? At least one abbreviation coming from all the students present in the class right now. Okay, Pratidanya has said IMP, HP, LPG. Okay, Himanshu. GST, very good, Megha. Khushdeep, yes, Khushdeep, it's part of the note making. You have to use abbreviations. You cannot write all the notes with all full form words. CEO, CFO, yes. ISRO, NASA, ICAI, wonderful, Diksha. Yes, Bhumikas, UNESCO. Okay, Lakshita is saying CSCMA. I'm asking you abbreviations right now. Okay, abbreviations is where each letter would stand for one of the word in the expanded form. Gareja and let's say Kriti, you're giving me shortened version that we're going to discuss later. Rohini says DR. Okay, no, government is a shortened form. Again, Surya, technology with tech means a shortened form. No, Sakaldeep, this is again your own writing for between. Ha, Vishnu is correct. Bhargavi, correct. Okay, Fema, Vaishnavi, good. Okay, so a lot of very good examples coming. I'm happy. SEBI, no, DRDO is correct. Diksha, UNESCO is correct. IAS is correct. ICI is perfect. And some of you have written like, EG, and some of you are writing some very personal abbreviations. See, Sahajpreet, abbreviation is basically when you have one alphabet, mostly the first alphabet of every word in the long version. First alphabet corresponds with that. For example, ICAI. So there is a word with I, there is C, there is A, there is I. Okay? The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. You have it like that. Similarly, if I say UN, we know U for United, N for Nations. Or if I say ONGC, then Oil and Natural Gas Commission. So these are abbreviations. If I say government is GOVT dot, information is INFO dot, limited is LTD dot, then it's the shortened version. That's not an abbreviation. Got it? Clear to everybody? Like, for example, if I say SARC, so SARC nations have it's an abbreviation. MBA is an abbreviation. UPSC is an abbreviation. Very good, Vishnu. So these are the abbreviations as in acronyms where each letter stands for a particular word in the lengthened version. But what you people are telling me, many of you, not all obviously, are giving me the shortened version. That I'll come to next. Now, this is the informal abbreviation, which is kind of accepted mostly. I'm not saying that it's not accepted, but still I would say these are limited to our writing. We might not have the same style of writing when I go abroad. So maybe in US, they don't write info as info. They don't write different as d.iff. They don't write government as govt. So it's very important that you know where are you using these abbreviations. Is it a formal context? Is it an informal context? Then you decide. Okay. Got it, Kriti? So like WHO, NATO, all these are standard abbreviations. So WHO is World Health Organization, and it's going to mean the same everywhere around the world. Whether you go to India, whether you go to Pakistan, whether you go to Bangladesh, whether you go to Netherlands, whether you go to Finland, WHO will always mean World Health Organization. Okay. But if I say WH dot, I don't know what I want to say. That is an informal abbreviation which I have written for my notes. Okay, clear? So that's why I'm trying to make it exactly like discrete. You cannot use these abbreviations in formal setups, but you can use these abbreviations when you're writing for yourself, when the notes are for yourself. Okay, any doubt? Rajesh, we don't have a USSR, so rather not give that abbreviation. Huh. Saima, government is basically a short form. So it's an abbreviation. It comes in the shortened form of a long word. It's in this list. Okay. So this is okay. Can I assume this is okay? You want to try some informal abbreviations now, like the ones you all were giving in the middle, which I told you are not the formal ones. Can you try a couple of them? Can you type them in the box, please? Good afternoon, Samir. Yes, Sakshi, you can use your own abbreviations in the exam. That's not a problem at all. Just that you have to be sure there is a key so that whoever is checking the paper, he or she knows that what did you mean by this abbreviation. Okay, Kushdeep, you can use. Now, so example, like some Kriti has written LTD. Shalini has written representative can be REP. Very good. Yes, Akaldeep. B/W can be between. Good afternoon, Rahul. Yes, Sahajpreet, you are very true. Acronyms are standard abbreviations. Information is INFO, maximum is MAX, minimum is MIN. Okay, that you all know. Account is A/C, debit, credit, FII, etc. Chanda, it depends on what exactly is the paper about. If it's a report writing, how can it be an MCQ paper? If it's note making, how can it be an MCQ paper? You can't be given choices, no, where you select which is the correct note. So it's mostly the subjective paper you have to write. I think you haven't seen the study material. See the study material, look at the kind of questions which come, then it will be crystal clear to you. Okay. So with all the nice answers, Gareja, Sagar, Rohan, Zeba, Bhargavi, Kriti, everybody has given, I'm completely satisfied that you've got to know the difference between standard abbreviations and informal abbreviations. Now, there is a third category, which is a little different because that's kind of happening because we are so much into technology and we are so much into phone usage that we can't just get over it. Okay. which is this. Now, this is something which is completely destroying your language, completely dissecting the language. Please do not use such abbreviations in any of your formal reports. You will be like committing a crime if you do so. Got it? If you ever write an answer in your exam which has any one of this, I will, if I get to check, I will straight away give you a 0 for it. No slangs, no WhatsApp, Instagram languages allowed. It's a formal subject. You need to learn it formally. You need to understand why I'm doing a certain word into a certain shortened version, and then give me the key. This is only done when you're, when you are in office and you just have to write an informal mail. So you must have come across something like this, but it's not to be used in exams at all. Okay. You'd straight away get minus marks if anything like this happens in the exam. Okay, Disha, good that you don't know. Okay, fine. So this is what you have to avoid. This is what you can use. This is what you definitely should use. Use wherever there is the name of an organization or whenever there is a need. Please plan accordingly. But just that, don't learn it, because when you're reading a passage, note making happens or at the moment. It's like at the spur of the moment. I feel okay. Let's write should as SHD or SHLD. Let's write standard as STNDRD. Depends. Every student has their own way of making an abbreviation, and there is no right or wrong. Making a short form, by the way, there is no right or wrong. Okay. For example, I'll just annotate and I'll show it to you. For example, standard. Okay. So I can write S T and I can write STD and I can put a dot. Fine. Next, if I have to write submission, so I'll write SBMSSN. This is submission for me. If I have to write abbreviation, I will write ABB. If I have to write however, I will write HWER. Fine. Now, for each of these, you may have a different style of writing. You might want to miss some I and add some A. Instead of A, let me just write T and N so that I know it's ending with an N. These are like general rules. So whenever it ends with an N, I tend to put an N in the end, like production, reproduction, submission, abbreviation, calculation. So I tend to put an N in the end to understand that, okay, it's in the noun form. You want to do it or not, completely your choice. Okay. So there are no standard techniques as such, which I want to say that you have to know. But yes, there is a good page in your study material. You can go through that. It has a table. It's telling you, you can remove the vowels, you can remove some extra S's, and then whatever is left, you can remove one or two consonants, and that becomes a shortened form. Okay, clear hai? Sure, everybody? Can we move forward then? AS for what, Asha? AS is there for many subjects. So what is this AS you meant? So Sakaldeep, you have to give a key. It's very important. Without the key, you will not get full marks. And Saima, when I said you're not supposed to use short forms, you are not supposed to use the third one. I'll just come to that. This is what you're not supposed to use, Saima. Okay. The others you can use. The other two slides which I showed, you can use. This one is something which is completely informal, so you're not supposed to use this. Fine, got it? Yes, Sakshi, it is a accounting standards. Okay, fine, you can use it. You anyways have to mention it in the key. So for the exam, no matter what you are using, as long as the key explains to me the meaning of that word and you've written it nicely, you will get marks and you have done a good job. Okay. And most of you are asking if it is mandatory to write abbreviations, like Sakshi just now asked. Yes, Sakshi, note making is a process which can involve a lot of time and it has to be very quick. You might be interviewing somebody, suppose you are interviewing Elon Musk and then he's saying so many things. How will you take down notes? Wouldn't you need some time? Wouldn't you need to be very fast? And whatever Elon Musk is saying, you can't even write so fast. For that matter, you know, even his son's name is so very cryptic, it's very difficult to understand the name. So even if he's speaking, you can't take down notes. You have to be very quick. For that quickness only, I'm saying note making should be there with abbreviations, with short forms. Okay. Okay, fine, guys. You can stop sending me the abbreviations now. Everybody is just sending that only. I've got it that you all know it. Of course, Keshav, why not? Why do you even have a doubt that getting full marks is not possible? That's not true. It only depends on how well you have presented the paper. When somebody checks the paper, no, so the first thing, of course, is the answer correct? So there is a question, have you marked and have you written the answer according to what has been asked? That is one. Second comes, if there is a diagram or a picture required, have you done that? Third point, if there are some examples required for that question, have you done that? And fourth, of course, it's neatness. Okay, so for neatness, of course, you know, when you see a paper, don't you feel happy when you see a nice paper, a clean paper, an incorrigible paper where everything is like, you know, line wise, clear, no cuttings, no errors? You feel good. And then when you read the answer, you feel, arey wow, bahut acha likha hai, so let's give them marks. Okay. But if I see a paper which is messy, which has a lot of cuttings and a lot of editings and then a lot of round jalebis made on the left and the right, even the rough work is so messy, I will not like it. So not that I'm not going to read the paper. Everybody will read the paper. But that shows that you are not planned in your mind. That shows that there is lack of understanding. And that's why that chaotic mind is there on the paper. That should not happen. Okay. Otherwise, full marks, pakka you can get. No, Meenu, you cannot use that. Yes, Diksha, you have. If you have used it in your note making, you have to give the key for sure. Yes, Sachin, it's very similar to the ICSE English syllabus. Of course, Khushdeep, I have a lot of examples. I'm again repeating, no, Meenu, you don't have to use a slang. How you like that is not to be abbreviated. It's not to be given a short form. Okay? You just have to write it because these are just conversational abbreviations. That's why they are called slang. These are not abbreviations which you need to write down in a note making. If somebody is telling you about his or her journey in life, his or her experience with something, he will not say, how will you like that? So these words are out of question. You don't even need to know these for this topic. Okay? Clear, everybody? Kavita, Devansh, Zeba, Sachin, Sakshi, Saima, Kushti, Bhumika, Rohini. Fine. So can we move forward? So you just need to know making a short form is not a very rocket science kind of a task. You can remove the vowels, you can remove some extra abbreviation, you can remove some extra letters, and an abbreviation is formed, a shortened version is formed. For belong, it can be BLNG. Yes, Vinodini, that is perfect. Correct. Okay, fine. Now, these are some quick tips which you can go through and you can tell me what have you not understood. I have done all my speaking till now. Now, you try to read and tell me what do you think you have not understood so that I can discuss that specific point again. Okay, fine, everybody. Can we move on then? So after having done this quick tip recap, you are in a position to write abbreviations and acronyms. Okay. Now, one exercise, omit vowels means you're not supposed to include vowels. Okay. Suppose you have a word like abbreviation, you can remove the E's and the I's towards the other end. Only the first A can be retained. That is what omitting vowel means. Don't use don't use vowels in the shortened form. Yes, Bhargavi, you can use standard abbreviations. Third point, Gareja. Okay, avoid very difficult and strange looking short forms. Now, what happens is sometimes in the tendency of making short forms, whatever you make does not resemble the actual word. Like, for example, I have a word here, standard. Okay, so for standard, I should be writing this, first of all. But some people write this, some people write this, some people write this. Okay, now whatever you think is looking very, very weird and it's just not matching with the word, that you can remove. Bhumika, there is no limit for number of abbreviations. You can give as many abbreviations, just that in note making, not that all of your content is only abbreviations. There should be some good content also. Plus, there should be some use of abbreviations. There is no hard and fast rule for any number. We don't count the number of abbreviations given. Okay? Is this slide clear? Are you all with me on the same page? Have you understood anything from the last class which you want to ask? Anything from today's class till now you want to ask? Okay, seventh point somebody is asking. Fine. Include some abbreviations for sure. What does this mean, Lakshita? What did you understand out of this point? What, Faizan? What do you want me to repeat? Pratidnya, sixth point. Remember to provide a key towards the end of note making. Have I not been talking about the key? What is the key? Key is something which opens the lock. Okay. And what is the lock? Your abbreviations, your acronyms, and your symbols are the locks. Because you have made your own abbreviations, you have made your own symbols, and I don't know what they mean. So what do I have to do? I have to sit and give them a key so that whenever anybody refers to my content, whenever anybody refers to the notes, they have that key in front of them and they can match that, okay, this is what she meant when she wrote this word, this is what she meant when she wrote this word. So it's just like an answer. It's like an answer key. Okay. Rohan, have you seen the MTPs and the RTPs? Every question has been given a certain weightage. The marks have been mentioned. Please do it. You have to sit and simply not ask. Unless you open the study material, open the questions, how will you know what is the weightage of the chapter? Starting. Why, Faizan? Did you join late? So the lecture will anyway be recorded. You can have a look at the lecture. You can listen to the lecture. Yesterday's PPT was also there. You can go through all the PPTs. For Vinodini, like for F, you written simply F. For should be FR. just for a safer side. And after you write all these, you have to write the key. That's where you will mention what does the abbreviation FR mean. So firstly, there'll be a passage given from in the question paper. You have to read the question, you have to read the passage, then you have to start making notes. Now, to make notes, you should know you are following the linear list. In the linear list, you have to make headings and subheadings. After that, when you're writing, you should be using abbreviations, the standard ones and sometimes the informal ones, but never the slang ones. After you do that, you have to make a key. The key will tell me, you have to write it obviously. The key will tell me what all abbreviations have you used. So for each of the abbreviation, you have to give an equal to or something and give me the real meaning of what is that word exactly. Okay. Abbreviate means chota karna, shortened form chota karna. Abbreviation is where every first alphabet is the word in expansion. ठीक है? PPT is a presentation, Ravish. No worries, Faizan. So you can just start because note making ka we are doing the second part today. If I start doing it for everything, like repeating the whole thing, then I will not be left with time to finish it. So what I request is you can listen to the presentation and you can also see what was uploaded for the last class. That will be good enough for you to give a fair idea. Yes, Saima. Sunday can be SNDY. That's correct. Yes, Bibika, it is compulsory. I've been saying this so many times. It is compulsory to write the short forms or some abbreviations because then only you are taking it forward like a note. If for note making, if you are only using full words, you don't have, you have a lot of time for making notes. That happens only when you are a school student. Otherwise, you don't have that much time. Okay. So very important is you have to be sure about making notes. You have to be sure about using abbreviations, acronyms, and symbols. And you have to be sure about giving a key for whatever abbreviation you have used because that might not be a standard abbreviation. Fine, got it? Anything else which I can help you with right now? You want me to take you back to one of the slides? You want to reread this so that all your doubts are completely clear? I can wait. If you have any doubts, please tell me. Yes, Diksha, it is, but that's the part of the question. Like that's the way the questions have been designed. Because if you start using your own abbreviations, how will I know what you meant? I might just find it weird and wrong, and I might just put a circle across it and cut marks. So writing the key is definitely part of this, and you have to do it. Fourth point, Zeba. Okay, I'll tell you. Surya, I'll show you. Have you seen the study material? I'll just open the study material right now. I'll take you through how this key has been done and how the notes have been made. Then, Surya, you may ask your question. Okay, this is the last thing, how to write a summary. I'll start with this. Yes, of course. Yes, Ishan, very similar to that. Okay, Keshav, I have some examples. Let me see what I can do. So making a summary, I'll start after the 5-minute break we take. But before I take a break, I'll share the content with you and I'll show to you how note making happens. Okay, so those of you who are asking me some basic questions, It's all there in this. So this is your most important study material which you have to study, note making. Here it gives you a good difference between note taking and note making. Somebody has just now asked in the chat, can you explain the difference between this? So for the difference, you can refer to the study material. And of course, the PPT which was done last class. Okay, Bhagat, I'll come to point 4. How can you remove the vowel Saima? I mean, what do I ask you to do here? If it's written like system, you can simply write SYSTM. You've removed E. You can write SYS for system. So that's just very personal. No, I don't know what style will you take up. Okay. Now, this of course is the study material from CA. And they have given you some strategies. They've also given you a difference between note making and note taking. This is what I was talking about. So there is an A, there is a B, there is a C. Then there'll be like sub points B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3, etc. And then this is the example of a mind map, or you can say a non-linear note making style. Okay, got it, everybody? Is it clear? So I'm showing you the notes just because I thought you might as well, understand what exactly is to be placed where. So if you see here in the linear note making, this is the linear note making. So A will have a heading. A1 might have a subheading. Then A11 and A22 will have like two subheadings. And finally, we are moving on to the second level, which is A2. So after A1, we have A2. A1 had a lot of little branches. Okay, clear, everybody? So this is just a teaser because you should know how exactly your study material is helping you. You should know how exactly keys are made. You should know the strategies for note making. Keeping all that in mind, if you are strong enough with your language, I think nobody will deduct any mark. That is very important. Okay, so we'll take a quick 5-minute break here, and then I'll start with summary writing, how to write a summary. And after you all have done, we will finally move to two questions which are to be done by you. So I'm going to check how much of you have understood, how many of you have not understood, and we can obviously discuss it once again. Okay, so we'll take a quick 5-minute break and we'll join back. Thank you. Okay, students, welcome back after the break. I hope things are going fine till now. For any doubts, please feel free to put them in the query box. I can get to know them. Anything you want to ask me which is related to note making, the questions, the patterns, we can discuss it in class because there are only two sessions allocated to note making, and it's not a very difficult subject at all. You have to do a lot of practice. I was just sharing the study material also. If you have done the study material, if you have done the mock test papers, if you have done the revision test papers, you are likely to do the best with the exam paper. So don't worry at all. But consistent practice and regular reading is what you need to be doing. Okay. So let's continue with this. I don't think so there are any more doubts coming now. Uh, yes, Keshav, we'll definitely discuss some examples for sure, because without that, it's very difficult to move forward in a subject like this. I will be giving you some examples. Just give me a minute and we'll move on. So you have all have understood that note making is to be done using short forms and abbreviations. You all have understood that note making will not use any slangs. I've already shown you a slide for that. And you all have also understood that for every abbreviation, etc., which you use, there should be a key, because that's how I will get to know what is your idea behind shortening the word in that style. Okay, clear, everybody? Sure. Any doubts till now? And then I'll continue with the presentation. I'll show you my screen. You just tell me if there's anything else you want to ask me for whatever we have done till here. Some of you must have joined late, some of you must have not understood a particular section. Yes, Lisa. So I was just showing you the study material, in fact. Here, if you see, this is the example which you have to follow. If you do the note making in this style, so there is section A, which is reading, then it says read twice, then there is A11, A1.12. You can write A1, A, B, AC like that also. So this has like three broad sections: writing, reading, etc. Below every broad section, there is a small section which is there. So I think this is pretty much okay with you. Okay, Gia says all is clear. Good, Gia. Thank you for that confirmation. Actually, it's good when I get to know that you all are clear, because then, I won't be repeating stuff. If I'm repeating stuff, then I feel I'm wasting time. If you all have already understood, then it's just perfect. We can go quickly and move on to the next page. Now, for example, we have this. Somebody was asking linear note making and non-linear note making. It's there in your study material. Towards the end, we have a lot of questions. See, this is the key you have to make, like this. So when you make the key, you are giving the word and you are giving the exact meaning of the word, how you used it, in what sense did you use it. Okay. Now, this is what I'm talking about. There are a lot of practice questions. Please, I insist on everybody attempting these practice questions. Otherwise, topics like this, these, which are new to us, we haven't done them in our school. There is no note making concept as such. And mostly you will be asked to make notes when you are in office. So if you know the idea, if you know the subject, if you know what exactly is note making and note taking, you will not be facing any problem at that time. That's why we keep saying, please consistently, regularly practice all this. One fine day, if I see that you're going and making notes, it's not going to help you at all. Okay. Okay, so this is where we ended the very casual list, which is not to be included at all in your note making. Now we move on to the next one, the summary part. Now, all of you know what is a summary. You have done this many times. When you were in school, your teacher would ask you to write a summary. Sometimes your parents would ask you to write a summary of a book which you have read. But what exactly you have to do is Summary for a note making is summary from the given passage. So if you have read a passage which is like 15 lines, 20 lines, 25 lines, 100 lines, you have to just bring it down to as much as possible, like, literally squeeze it out. But when you squeeze it, you retain all the vitamins and all the minerals inside it, which means all the important points are still stuck inside the summary, and I've filtered it out for unwanted information. That's what a summary means. Fine? Yes, Vishnu, definitely. Okay, so you get my point. You all have to write a summary. So there will be marks for writing a summary. There will be marks for note making. There will be marks for key. There will be marks for your overall presentation. If overall your presentation is good, you can definitely score full marks. If overall your presentation is dull, there are chances of, marks getting deducted. So it's completely upon you now. Nobody is going to force you to write the way you are, but you all have enough time to practice. Okay, got it? So now this is what a summary is. First of all, we know a summary is known as the shortened version, which means I have a very long text. It can be like 500 words. It can be like 1,000 words. It can be like 2,000 words. It can be an essay. It can be a 10-page report. It can be anything. But what exactly do we have to do? We have to read the whole thing and bring it down to the shortest possible version. But we are supposed to retain all the good information, all the important information, which is a tough task. Because generally, when we read, we're reading it for our own understanding. This time we have to read it and we have to reproduce it into something even better, because writing short is the toughest job of any writer. And that's what you have to do when you write a summary. Okay, so I've written it in the first point. If you see, a summary should be about 25% of the main text. Whether you want to count the words or whether you want to count the number of lines, that does not matter. Hence, it is not called wordlet dependent, because we cannot say a word limit for a summary is 100 words or 150 words. It depends on the number of words which have been used in the original text. If that is like something X, then this should be 25% of X. Okay, clear, everybody? Any doubt about the first point in summary? Yes, Keshav, you can call the summary as the concise length or the shortened form of the passage given. That is correct. Okay, so moving on to my next point. Now, what kind of a language should summary use? Since it is going to be reproduced from a given text, it has to be very clear. I should not be writing extra information which is already there in the passage. If I simply have to write that extra information, why do I need a summary? But since I'm writing a summary, my language should be crisp, my language should be clear, and I should match with the original. I cannot say, yes, this is very nice, this is very bad, this is very dirty, this is very ugly. No space for emotions. I only have to tell you about what the author has written, what does he mean by XYZ words in a shortened form, so that if somebody does not have time to read the full text, he or she may read the summary and get a good enough idea about that text. That's what the purpose of a summary is. Okay? Vishnu, you will have to write the notes and the summary both. Make notes with heading and subheading, yes. Make keys, yes. Make summary at the end, yes. Sakaldeep has understood it perfectly. That's a bang. Very good, Sakaldeep. Make notes first, which will have headings. I've shown you the headings and subheadings. Then you have to make keys, yes, which is one key, not like keys, but yeah, one key. And finally, you have to write the summary at the end. Okay. All of you remember, very importantly, there is a marking scheme for each of this. The moment one thing goes missed, you miss to write the key, you miss to write the summary, marks will be deducted. So if you can score well, it'll be because you've worked hard and you've done a lot of examples, you've listened to the class carefully. If you're not scoring well, it simply means there is lack of preparation, lack of study, lack of referring to all the study material. Okay, so don't come blaming the teacher, don't come blaming ICI, don't come blaming luck. You are at fault because this is a subject which is easily scoreable. There is nothing right or wrong here. The way you present a note is what matters. Okay, sure. Now, you should not substitute any word for another synonym because sometimes the meaning changes. If I'm saying beauty, then it is beauty. It is not pretty. If I'm saying clever, it might mean clever as a fox. I might say clever means a very smart boy. So I have to be very sure in what context am I using that word. Then only I will change it. If I start, substituting like this for any word, I'll give you another word and then I'll say I've written it on my own. This is my summary. The meaning of the original text might change, and that is like a blunder. You cannot, you are not even cannot actually, you are not allowed to change the meaning of the text. The text will remain as it is. If the author is showing a negative tone, then your summary should also have a negative tone. If the author is being positive and praiseworthy about something, then your summary will also have it like that. The moment you start changing it, that, okay, let's write this word, let's write that word, then what happens is the tone, the opinion, the style, and the main mood of the author, all that gets changed. And you don't have an authority to change it. Okay, getting my point, everybody? No, no, Gunjan. Wait, I'll come to that. Yes, Kriti. Yes, Pushdeep. Okay. Now, I am seeing that some of you are having a doubt about when to write a summary, when to write the notes, or whether to write the summary or to write the notes. Okay, so let me explain it. Now, very important is everybody will get a passage. Okay, you will have to read the passage. After having read the passage, you will start making notes. Notes will be linear style. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 1A, 2A, 2B, 1AA, 1A, 1, like that. That is the notes. Now your notes should be using a lot of abbreviations and short forms. I shouldn't be saying lot of, but yes, you should be using. Okay. After that, after having written the notes, you have to write the key. In the key, you all have to write what all words have been shortened, what exactly is the meaning of the shortened word, what exactly do I do with the meaning of this, how can I explain it. All that has to be coming in a very straight drop down list and very objectively written. One short form is equal to the meaning. One short form is equal to the meaning, like this it will go. After the key, everybody has to write the summary. It is not optional. It's part of the question. So when you have read the text, you have made the notes. On the basis of those notes which you think were most important, you have to start writing a summary such that anyone who reads the summary gets a good idea about the main passage. That is what the mantra is. Whenever we write a summary, we always write long and short and any length, okay? But if you write a summary which is perfect length and it has all the information, and any person who has read the summary knows the story so well, that is a perfect summary. Okay, got it, everybody? Okay, let me see if there's any question coming. Yes, Keshav, I just now explained. Manvi, what doubts do you mean you have? Like, obviously, there is nothing right or wrong. It also depends on the presentation. If you've written good English, if you have written the correct information, if you have written one or two words which are like according to you, it's part of the note making in the key, it's okay. So I don't understand why you all will feel that I might go wrong. I don't know if I'm correct or not. That doesn't happen. You are always correct. You just have to be sure about where and what to present at what time. With that structure in your mind, everything is okay. The moment you start thinking that nahi galat ho raha hai, aa nahi raha hai, why am I writing all this? Then you are losing confidence. And if you lose confidence, you will forget the format, you'll forget the pattern, you'll write the notes, but you'll forget to give the key. You'll give the key, but you'll forget to include the summary, and the loop goes on and on for the rest of the questions. So it becomes like a chain reaction. You spoiled one question, and because of that, you lost momentum, you lost your focus, and then you start spoiling all the other questions. So one thing is amiss, the whole paper is amiss. Okay? And I'm repeatedly saying this does not have any options. Summary, key, abbreviations, everything has to be written. Main heading Gunjan will come with every subheading. So the main heading is what is the subject about. Then there is like 1, 2, 3, 4. All these 1, 2, 3, 4s will have the main heading. Yes, Zeba, you've got it correct. Okay, Manvi. Manvi, have you understood? Right? Now I don't think so. You will have doubts, or you will doubt whether your answers are correct or not. Fine. Okay, let's move on with this. So very importantly, summary should be 25% of your main story. Second, it is not word limit dependent, because it depends on the size of the main story. Sometimes the main story is 500, sometimes the main story is 1000 words. Accordingly, you can just calculate 25% of it. Okay. Next is the language. Yes, Bhargavi, correct. Gunjan, I'll show you an example. Next is it has to be crisp, clear, and it matches the original, which means I have to be very, very particular that my choice of words is good enough to explain the whole passage when somebody has not read it. Because sometimes what happens is I have to read the paragraph. Even if I read the summary, I don't understand, because I feel nay, something is missing, something is missing. I don't think so. This is a complete summary. With that notion, I tend to feel, okay, let's read the paragraph. But it should not happen with you. If you are writing a summary, you should have written the summary so clearly that everybody is happy with the summary and they're understanding the meaning also. Okay. Next is, you should not include your own opinions and thoughts and emotions. And summary writing is very fact based. So if the author is giving you negative connotations in his answer, in his passage, you can also give. If the author is writing in a neutral tone, you should also be neutral. There is no scope for a personal element here. That's what I want to say. Okay. Whenever you think that something is going wrong, please reread the passage. That's the only way you will be able to understand why do we need a summary in general life. Okay, now it's a fact-based task, because this is something I want to highlight. This point, right? This point completely is a fact-based task. So you have to be very particular. You're not changing the style of the author unnecessarily. You're not making him the villain in the eyes of somebody. And whatever you have written is from the passage only. Don't try and use extra information. Some people have this tendency, if there is a passage on a topic which you are very good with, which you know very well, then you have extra information, obviously. When you have extra information, what you feel, let me just include this also in the summary, or let me just make notes out of it. No, at least for this kind of note making, you will not be using extra information. That is for sure. The moment there is one line or any such information which is outside the passage, marks are deducted. Okay, that's the best I can say, because if I say marks are deducted, then everybody will agree. Fine. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The assumptions, repetitions, fancy language should be avoided. Now, you are not the main author. God willing, if you write your own poetry, if you write your own blogs, if you write your own stories, if you become a newspaper editor, whatever you become, you are entitled to using some strange words. You are entitled to using, fancy language, high-flying words, very good jargon, because that is your own production. So you're allowed to write. But when you're doing a summary, you have to be very sure that it is in the words of the author, not like exactly all the words, but words which are kind of similar, and you are not distracting the reader from what the author wants to convey. The author probably wants to say that science and technology has advantages and disadvantages, and he's giving you examples. But when you write a summary, the summary style becomes such that I feel in the end you want to say the author does not know anything about scientific experiments, so let's not write it. That should not happen. Okay, please be particular. The text is what you have to bring out, no extra information. Okay, the next thing is assumptions, repetitions, and fancy language. Again, we were just talking about it. Very crisp language, very clear language. Repeating the same thing again and again, you don't know, you should not be doing, because the summary is very small. And last of all, maximum information should be covered. Because what happens is, students, when we read, okay, like for example, I'm reading a book. Now, when I'm reading it, everything appears to be important. But actually, is everything important? Do you really think that I should know every word by word of every single page in a particular novel, in a particular book? No, right? So what we do is we try and filtering out. And for filtering out, you should have a strong judgment that no, this is not important. This will not go in the summary. And this is important. It involves a very nice breakthrough in news. It involves a conclusion. It is the argument of the author. Then please include that. Okay? Clear? Everybody? Can I just have a look at the queries now? Okay. So somebody has asked, let me see, Gunjan has asked. Yeah, Gunjan has asked that if the author has used any phrase, are we supposed to use that phrase or are we supposed to leave it? Well, if it's a phrase and if it has a meaning and you know the meaning, you can just reword it in simple words. You are not supposed to use the same phrase. Okay, the idea of note making is to reduce and to make it short. So when you're making it short, what are you doing? You are only bringing it to those instances which you think are worth reading. That's why you're making notes, no? Because exam time, if you don't have time, you can't read the whole book for history, accounts, BS, etc. What you do? You're going to read the notes. So your notes should be such that you are not repeating the author's language. If the author has used some quote, then what you can do is you can simply look for the meaning in Google and then write down the meaning here. Clear? Thank you, Vishnu. Saima, which point are you talking about? Komal, even if they say note making, the summary is part of it. Please remember, sometimes they will not write summary separately. Sometimes the question has the word summary. Irrespective of that, you please write the summary. Okay. Well, Zeba, I'll come to the practice exercises once I'm done with the presentation, because you know what my agenda is. Let me finish whatever is to be taught fresh and first. Then if time permits, I'll move on to the study material. Okay. I'll just change my slide. Okay, so we have the recap before practice, and after this, I'm going to give you practice passages. So first is the reading of the text. That should be done like so clearly that it is word to word. If you read the text very half-heartedly, if you read the text superficially, you will not be able to make good slides, good summaries and good notes. Okay. Second is filter out unnecessary information. So what is unnecessary information? Which does not need to be included in the summary, because a passage can be long. I was just now discussing it. For long passages, bring out the literal important crux and core of that passage. That is what you have to bring out, and any related extra and unwanted kind of information, just leave it. Just leave it. Tell it, I will not include you in the participation. You keep it aside and you bring out the very important points. Okay. Then you have to make notes in the linear style, which will be given in the question. It's going to be written notes in the linear style. Then indentations. Indentations are what we have been discussing: headings, subheadings, sub-subheadings. So there is one, there is 1A, and there is 1AA, 1A2, 1A3. You can go on and on and on depending on the size of your paper, your answer sheet, and depending on the passage you have read. Okay. Then the key. Many people I've seen, when we see the papers, they forget to write the key. You'll make the key, you'll use it, you'll use abbreviations and short forms in the answer, but you'll not write the key. Good number of marks will be deducted then. Okay, any questions till here? I'll finish this slide, of course. And the last is write a summary of all the main points of the passage. So summary writing is something you must have done in school also, isn't it? So when you do summary writing, you basically have to remember that mood and tone should not change. Information should not be misleading. Language can be changed, but retain the main essence of that. And okay. And last of all, please use the format for note making. You cannot just keep making notes like it's your homework. It's a note making chapter, which it actually comes in the exam with a lot of formal questions. So please do it formally. Okay, clear? Everybody? Any doubts still here? You want to ask me something, you want to clarify something, please feel free, because after this, we'll be moving to practice passages. Then I won't be coming back to the theory. Only if time permits, I'll come back to the theory. So please be very, very fast. Can I move on? Okay. See, Faizan, I told you, no, thanks, Jyoti. Summary should be 25% of the main passage. Okay, Faizan? Is it okay? Okay, now this is practice passage 1. I'll show you my key. I'll show you my summary. Meanwhile, I want you to just give me some note making style from the first paragraph, because it's 3 paragraphs. It's difficult on this means when some of you must be using phones, it's difficult to type. Indentation, Saima, means to align to the left and align to the right. Like when you use MS Word, it says align right, align left, align in the center, justify. All these are indentations, from where to start, from the margin to the right of the margin. Then you have to put a tab. Okay, that is indentation. Okay. Now, please read the first paragraph only and try and share some notes from the first paragraph. I know you all have to do it like completely, but maybe if there is time crunch or you're unable to put it on the phone screen, you can share some good note makings with the abbreviations and short forms from passage number 1. Read fast. You can read the whole passage also. That's not an issue at all. In fact, uh, within 2 minutes or 5 minutes, I will ask you to read the whole passage because I want you all to attempt it. Komal, yes, it's preferred if you like, give me the sequence of the instances happening in the passage. Sometimes you are okay to take liberty because that's not like a perfect rule, but it's good if the content is coming in a certain order so I can match it with the passage. So when I did not understand something in the notes and still have the passage, I can go back to the passage and I can, make a good alignment. Okay. No doubts as such. Fine. Okay. So can you all give me a small note with whatever access you have on this? Unprivileged are those who are in the lower sections of the society. They do not have any luxuries. They do not have any benefits. They don't even have proper resources. That is the unprivileged section of the society, mostly below poverty line. Okay. Is the passage clear? Can you all write a summary now? It's important if you practice only then your writing style will improve. Orally speaking out a summary or looking into your friend's copy will not help you. I'm waiting for your answers. If you have read the passage, you can quickly give me a summary. Don't write the key, don't write the abbreviations. You don't have much time. You can simply give me what is the summary of passage 1. Till then, I'll take you to the note making key. So can you see how I've done? My first point is interaction between humans and technology. And that's the very first line of my passage. That interaction is happening between humans and computers, but it has increased as we enter into the 21st century. Then he's trying to give me some reasons for why do people feel that it has increased. Why do people feel that we are using a lot of technology? So there is a lot of human dependency over technology. All that will come in the following paragraphs. First paragraph will only be the title. Sorry, not the paragraph. First point, the title. Second point, something about the underprivileged members of the society. And third, I'll show you the main format also. I hope everybody has read it. Okay, Saima. Isn't there something more to it? What is it? Quickly, quickly, I'm waiting, please. Okay, I'll show you my version. So this is what I have written. Even if it doesn't match with yours, it's okay because what happens is I told you, you can write Kurshdeep, you can write. Panchal symbols are important, like, percentage, ampersand, male, female, between, by the way, all these can be used in the form of symbols. Symbols are also allowed. Okay, so what I have done is I have divided it into three paragraphs. First is I've mentioned it as humans and technology have a strong interaction. Secondly, I've talked about the divide in the society because of different groups. So here it says that the idea of the digital divide refers to the growing gap between the privileged and the unprivileged members of the society, which means unprivileged members of the society do not have internet access, whereas people who have internet access have a very fast running GB speed for internet. So the disparity occurs. Okay. Secondly, I've given you the list of people who actually suffer without an internet. I put it in the second one. And third one is among, I think that's a typo error, among American population, which is urban. That's AMCN. That's my abbreviation for America. I could have written US also, but I generally thought they're talking about America. So let's stick to this place only. So American urban population has its access. That's my 1C. Then I move on to the second point, which is some sections are already so connected. Why? Because they are in good schools, they are the educated whites, they all have a blue collar job and they are working with good organizations, or they are Asia Pacific Icelanders. Fine. The only change I want to make is I have to make Asia is fine. Pacific, P should be capital because it's a proper noun. Okay, so no queries till now. So we'll move on to the third point. The gap is widening. Now, which gap is this that I'm talking about? The gap between those who are getting rich and those who are still poor or probably getting poorer and poorer. Because the poor person, if you talk about, he can definitely get some money by some work. But the gap between him and the rich guy is hard to fill. That's why we say the gap is widening because of the dependency on internet technology, on webs. And for example, your house help, your driver, your gardener, they live in houses where they don't feel the need to have internet. Maybe their children use it. If they're doing CA, they'll use it. If they're doing any other exam, they'll use it. But that is the reason why the gap is widening and widening. Okay. Okay, Bhumika, I've read yours. Okay. Now, Saima, yours is a problem. Wait. Okay. Now, what am I trying to say is, Saima, what you have written, the relationship of human and computer has increased in the 20th century. The unprivileged people couldn't afford it. So what do you mean when you say could not afford it? What is this referring to, Saima? Can you please explain? I'll show you my summary. So maybe that will be a good point to compare. Okay. So have you all seen the key, by the way, before I move on to the other slide? The key is very clear. Generally, the key is to be put after the note making. I have put it on this page for clarity purposes so that you can compare the words and compare the key. Okay. But you can do it the other way around. You can read the passage, you can make the notes. After the notes, you can put the key, and last of all comes the summary. So SOC is society, RRL is rural. If you have any doubts, you can ask when. This is nothing very specific because you will do it in a different way. I have done it in a different way. I'll take you to the summary, which is actually time consuming, and many people have to learn about how to write a summary. So when I'm starting with a new word, I've used manifold dependency, which is a lot of dependency on technology by humans. But technology still remains the asset of the privileged class. The privileged class is the upper elites, the white collar job people, where you are in good schools, you are in good colleges, you earn well, your parents earn well, you are from the urban sector, you are the haves of the society, probably not the have-nots. That becomes the privileged class. Okay, so that is one point which I've included. Secondly, I wanted to say which sections of the society are kind of not given that much access to internet, though I'm not using the word underprivileged, that's a wrong word. So then it comes to the elderly people, people living in rural areas, they do not have access to the internet. Next comes the third point is educated whites, the higher income group class, have a direct use of internet. Even those with high school education, even those with high school education don't have. Okay, they lack these resources. So finally, what matters is not the high school education, but your personality and your presence in the society. Somebody must have done high school education in, let's say, some state board of India, maybe some very small state. But finally, the divide remains because he's studying in a small state in India, whereas all of you are in the metropolitan. In the metropolitan, chances of knowing more, no, gathering information is more. So the gap becomes very wide. Somebody in the city knows 10x, then somebody in the village knows only x. Okay, that's what I'm trying to explain to you. So here is the summary. You can read the summary, and I'm not explaining the summary because it's completely based on the passage, so there is nothing like difficult for you. Okay, so Zeba and Jia have really attempted it. Saima has, Kriti has. So many subpoints with subheadings. Kriti, yes, but just make sure each point has a reason to be written. Otherwise, it will look very chaotic. Okay. Now, this is a practice passage too, which I want all of you to do it. I will keep mute for some time. You all read the passage, underline the difficult words, read word by word. First, understand the meaning of the passage, then start attempting a summary. Okay? You don't have to give me abbreviations. You don't have to give me anything extra. You just have to straight away give me the summary. Manifold dependency means a lot of dependency. Fold is like number. Many is lot of, like number of numbers. Hence, a number of dependencies means manifold dependencies. Okay. Now, all of you quickly do the second passage. And then when I'll upload the PPT, there is a third one also for which I have not given you the answers. I have done two passages. Both of them are with explanation and answers. So this, of course, you can try once. I'm waiting for the answers. Read it carefully, please. It's a very nice passage. It's on handwriting and how handwritings are different from person to person, twins to twins also. Now, see, reading is giving you so much of a boost. Reading is telling you about words, reading is telling you about information. Then your concentration increases when you read. Your understanding of phrases and idioms and some standard phrasal verbs increases. So, reading is on the whole like the best mantra to excel in English. Okay. Those of you who have done it for the first paragraph, you can send that to me. Those of you who are doing it together, like for the first and the second paragraph, you can do it whenever the second paragraph gets over. It's a good passage. Determination. Zeba is asking what is the meaning of degeneration. Degeneration. Did you mean deterioration? The fourth line, first word. It means coming down, spoiling, worsening. So somebody's condition is deteriorating means the condition is getting worse. Okay, quickly write a summary. Don't write the key. I don't want to see the key. Key, I'm sure you all will write. Quickly write the summary, please. Finished? Can we move on? Heading of the title makes and the name suggests. Okay, what does that mean? I'm sorry, I didn't get the meaning. Only the summary is what I'm waiting for. The rest of the key you can do later as a practice when the PPT will be uploaded. Right now, only the summary. Calligraphy. Calligraphy is stylistic writing. When you write in nice different designs and curls and curves, no, that is called calligraphy. I assume everybody has read the passage at least. Okay, Sheikh Gosula, I have got your meaning. I've got the word calligraphy, but the message is coming again and again, so please check. So the first paragraph is talking about something. The second paragraph is talking about some other thing, more information about handwriting. You don't have to change paragraphs when you're writing the summary. You can make it only one paragraph. That is allowed. So not that every time there are like 5 paragraphs in the passage, you also have to write 5 paragraphs in the summary. No. Summary can have only one paragraph. That is okay. Okay, Bhargavi has written something. Let me just read it. Handwriting is different from person to person. Each person's handwriting is unique and different, and their style of writing is also different from twins also. Style of writing is different from twins, or within twins also the style of writing is different. Okay. And last of all, some people's handwriting is slope and sharp. Okay, now what are these? These are some characteristics of handwriting, which I will check when I'm using handwriting as a tool. So I'm going to check somebody's handwriting and I'll see, okay, this person always puts a dot on the I. Some people put a bigger circle, some people put a 3D circle, some people put a T line outside the T, some people put it on the T. All these things are helpful in deciding the style of a person. Sometimes you even get to know the personality of the person if you study handwriting. It's a deep study, but it's a pseudoscience. So it's said that it happens that ways. Of course, you can check. Uh, I didn't understand, Sheikh. What are you writing? Key. Okay. Huh, okay, Sagar. So for paragraph 1, you have written is fine. That is correct. Okay, I know it's going to take time because I know in this short period it's very difficult for all of you to write and then read and get back. So let me do something. I'll show you my notes so you can just compare with whatever you have written. This is the key I wrote for this passage on handwriting. So you can see a lot of weird words because they are all shortened forms. So again, I'm saying, you might not be doing it. It might just be, I mean, my style of writing. You might change the word into some other shortened way. And for example, language, some people say LAN, some people say LANG, some people write LANGE. So it keeps on varying, completely your choice. No marks will be deducted for the kind of shortened versions you give, as long as the key is there. So key is the final key. Key is the deciding factor. Whatever you write in the notes, like what is there on screen, is correct, but the key is definitely there. Okay, without the key you are getting no marks. And I've done the key here only for 20 words because unfortunately this was a longer passage and I needed more space. So I thought, instead of writing everything, I missed out on a couple of words, but you have to write it for all the words. If there are 25 words which have been shortened, then you have to write the key for all the 25 words. If there are like 100 words in the key, 100 words in the passage which have been shortened, then you have to write the key for all the 100 words. Okay, that is for sure. And also remember, the key should be written in the same order as the words appear in the notes. Like, see here I've done DN is done, WD is with, PRNT, NG is printing. Now if I go back to this passage, that's the order. Okay, so the order will remain the same when I'm talking about the key. Fine. And everything has its own description. You can check the words. This is not something which you have to remember. You just have to practice. So this is my key and this is my summary of the passage on handwriting. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines basically. Okay, Jia and Zeba and Saima have done it. Kriti has done it. Sagar has done it. And Bhargavi, I anyways read yours. Sakshi, where do you think you want to write this less short words which you are asking? What do you mean by write less short words? I did not get you. Please explain. So are you all reading my summary? So here, if you see the first page, it's the first paragraph is talking about handwriting being done with a pen or a pencil and a hand. Obviously, the pen or the pencil will be held in the hand. Second, it talks about it's also used as a verification tool. So I can match handwritings and tell, okay, you wrote this and you did not, or you wrote it and you did not. It was a prank or it was really written. Third thing, it tells you about a disease. It's like a disease which happens when people are unable to understand studies clearly. There is some kind of a gap between your mind and the way you perform. Remember this movie where you must have heard about about Tare Zameen Par? So there is this child who's suffering from a disease where he's unable to put the words clearly on paper. Okay, so here, of course, it's talking about dysgraphia. Second paragraph talks about each person having a unique style of writing. Even for that matter, twins also don't have a similar writing because their genes are same, but handwriting is different. So one way of catching a criminal is checking their handwriting. Then last of all comes to the characterization of handwritings. By seeing these things, like by seeing the sharpness of your handwriting, the tilt towards it. Sometimes some people write, the handwriting is all tilted towards the right. Some people write like this. Some people write straight. Some people leave wide gaps between words. Some people put a circle and then color it over T and I and J. So, I mean, that's all personal styles. So what I'm trying to say is, with every style of writing which is analyzed, the sharpness, the roundness, the size of the size of the letters, a lot of information about that person can be gathered. So that's how I finally conclude, and I take you to the summary, which says it is important to know that handwriting is different from calligraphy. Now here what I did, calligraphy was actually mentioned in the first few lines of the passage. I kind of brought it towards the last because I wanted to emphasize this fact that calligraphy is not handwriting. Okay? Sakshi, it's not that you have to write abbreviations and answers, sorry, abbreviations and short forms. It's part of note making, so you have to do it. Okay? Fine. Now let me see. This is revision time. This is one passage which I would like all of you to do at home. When I upload the PPT, you can take down notes and do it formally. Read it, take down the notes, write the key, write the summary. Okay? So anything else which you guys want to ask? So there is a study material for note making. My PPTs are there, RTPs and MTPs are there. Everything is quite clearly present. The only request is go through all the examples, understand the pattern. Once the pattern is like, registered in your mind, you will never go wrong with note making. So it's a very good chapter. It's a very easy chapter. As you move on, the chapters get tough. There's a lot of content to read and retain. But please remember, do not miss the study material. It is just like the NCRT, which is recommended in school. If you can do that, then you can do this also. Okay. So on that note, this is what I had to share for today. And that kind of brings me to the end of note making. So we have done notes, linear style, we have done keys, we have done summary. I have told you how to make the abbreviation. I've told you not to include the very slang and WhatsApp abbreviations in note making. And remember, every question, if or not if, depends on the marking scheme. If it's a long question and if it's saying summary and notes, both are to be done. If it's a small question, only a 2-marker question, and it says note making of the following passage, then you can leave it. Then you don't have to write the summary. Okay. But if they're definitely asking you everything, then notes and then key and then summary all have to be written. Miss Sagar, this is not a very good um, title. I means we can write few short, I'm sorry, it's coming a little blurred. You can write few short abbreviations, Sakshi, yes. Notes will be uploaded soon after this class ends, Faizan. The moment I finish the class, I'll upload the PPT, maybe another 10-15 minutes. So by the end of the day, you will have the PPT with you, don't worry. You can also listen to the yesterday's class, you can listen to this class, you can refer to all the notes, okay? Thank you so much, Keshav. Okay, so that brings me to the end of the class today. Please revise it. Please listen carefully in class. Please read all the study material you have. And we'll have more such interesting sessions, more such interactive sessions with you. I'll be seeing you for more such topics. All the very best. Stay safe and study hard. Thank you so much, guys. That was all from my side for note making.